What if your toes were trying to warn you right now, and you couldn't feel it? Every single day, thousands of older adults begin to quietly lose sensation in their feet. Not with dramatic pain, not with big swelling. It usually starts with something so small, so easy to ignore, that most people brush it off and move on. A dull patch under the toes, a strange tingling at night, a faint burning that shows up when you finally sit down. These are not random annoyances. These are often the very first whispers of peripheral neuropathy, nerve damage that, if ignored, can steal your balance, your mobility, and your independence. I'm Dr. David Kaplowitz, MD, and this is Senior Health Secret. Today we're going to talk about the subtle early signs of neuropathy that start in your toes, the signs that most people miss until the damage is much harder to reverse. I want you to stay with me to the end, because understanding these early clues can literally change how you walk, how you stand, and how safe you are in your own home. Neuropathy rarely arrives like a lightning bolt. It's more like a dimmer switch slowly turning down the feeling in your feet over months or years. One day, you suddenly realize you don't feel the ground the way you used to. And by the time the pain is obvious, the damage may already be significant. The good news, caught early, nerve deterioration can often be slowed and in some cases partially improved with better habits, nutrition, and awareness. But that only happens if you learn to listen while your body is still whispering. Let's walk through 15 quiet signs that your toes may be sending you. As you listen, gently check in with your own feet. Ask yourself, have I felt anything like this? The first sign is mild numbness or reduced sensation. This might show up as your toes feeling muted when they touch the floor, or like there's a thin layer of cotton between your feet and your shoes. The rug doesn't feel as textured, the tile doesn't feel as cold, the pressure doesn't feel as clear. The nerves that carry sensation from your toes to your brain are some of the longest in the body. They're also some of the most vulnerable to problems from high blood sugar, poor circulation, or long-term pressure. When they start to struggle, the volume of sensation turns down slowly, not all at once. If you've noticed that your toes just don't feel as sharp as they used to, that's not something to ignore. The second sign is intermittent tingling or pins and needles. You might notice it when you're resting in the evening or just as you're falling asleep. Tiny little prickles, faint electrical buzzing, or a crawling feeling under the skin. Many people say, "Oh, my foot just fell asleep." But when this keeps recurring, especially without obvious pressure on the foot, it can be a sign that nerves are misfiring. Damaged or irritated nerves often send confused signals, especially at night when blood flow slows and there's less distraction. That tingling is your nervous system tapping you on the shoulder. A third early sign is a subtle burning sensation. Not a sharp stabbing pain, but a gentle heat, like your toes are warmer than the rest of your body, even though they're not actually hot to the touch. This often shows up late in the day or at night. It's common to blame shoes or tired feet, but burning without a clear cause is a classic neuropathy symptom. Small sensory fibers, when damaged, can create the illusion of heat or fire even when nothing is there. If this is happening to you regularly, especially if you also have diabetes or circulation issues, it's a signal worth paying attention to. The fourth sign is loss or change in temperature sensitivity. Imagine stepping into bath water and not being sure if it's comfortably warm or dangerously hot. Or walking on a cold surface and realizing your toes don't register the chill like they used to. When nerves that sense temperature are damaged, it becomes harder for the brain to tell hot from cold. That's not just inconvenient, it's dangerous. People can burn their feet on hot water, heating pads, or sand without realizing it until they see a blister. If you've ever noticed that your feet don't seem to feel temperature properly anymore, that's a major red flag. The fifth sign is something called allodynia, extreme sensitivity to light touch. This is when the opposite happens. Instead of not feeling enough, you feel too much. The seam of a sock, a bedsheet brushing over your toes, or a light touch can feel sharp, irritating, or even painful. Damage to sensory nerves can make your brain misinterpret gentle touch as something threatening. Many people feel confused or even embarrassed by this. Why does my blanket hurt? But it's a recognized neuropathy pattern, not something you're imagining. The sixth sign is prickling or pinprick sensations. Different from occasional pins and needles, this can feel like hundreds of tiny, random pinpoints scattered over the toes or forefoot, even when you're not putting weight on them. It might feel like tiny sparks firing under the skin. Nerves that are irritated or losing their protective covering can start firing off random signals that your brain reads as little stings or pricks. It's easy to ignore because it's not always intensely painful, but it's still a signal that your nerve wiring isn't as stable as it used to be. The seventh sign is something you'll usually only catch at a doctor's office: loss of vibration sensation. One of the simplest tests neurologists and primary care doctors do is place a small vibrating tuning fork on your toe. Healthy, large fibers in your nerves carry that vibration clearly. With early neuropathy, you may no longer feel the vibration, or you feel it much less than expected. You might not notice this yourself at home, but it matters, because the same large fibers also help you with balance and coordination. If your doctor mentions decreased vibration sensation, take that seriously as an early warning. The eighth sign is a subtle loss of balance or body awareness, what we call proprioception. You might start to feel slightly unsteady on uneven ground. Walking in the dark or with your eyes closed becomes harder than it used to be. You may find yourself widening your stance, looking at your feet more often, or avoiding dimly lit areas without really knowing why. When the nerves in your toes can't tell your brain exactly where they are, you're forced to rely more on vision and guesswork. That's when trips and falls become more likely. The ninth sign is a vague, intermittent aching or deep discomfort in the toes or front of the foot. It's not sharp like a cut or sudden like a cramp. It's more like a dull, nagging soreness that comes and goes. Easy to blame on old shoes, a long day, or age. But that sort of undefined ache can be the brain's way of interpreting confusing nerve signals. It's especially suspicious if it happens even on days when you haven't walked much, or if it shows up when you're resting. The 10th sign is mild weakness in the small toe muscles. You might notice it when you try to curl your toes around a towel, pick something up with your feet, or spread your toes apart, and they just don't cooperate like they once did. Early motor nerve involvement often shows up in these tiny, fine movements before it affects bigger muscle groups. You're still able to walk, but there's less precision, less control. Over time, that can subtly change the way you step, increasing strain on the ankles and knees. The 11th sign is muscle cramping in the toes or foot. We're talking about those sudden, sharp toe cramps that hit at night and pull your toes into a painful position. Yes, cramps can be related to hydration or electrolytes, but recurring, unexplained cramps in the feet, especially combined with other signs on this list, can indicate irritated motor nerves firing when they shouldn't. If your toes are waking you up with spasms several nights a week, that's information your doctor needs. The 12th sign is diminished reflexes. You won't see this on your own, but your doctor will when they tap the Achilles tendon or other reflex points and get a reduced or absent response. Reflexes are quick loops of communication between nerves and muscles. When neuropathy disrupts that loop, the reflex arc weakens. That doesn't cause pain, but it does mean your legs may react more slowly to sudden changes in position, making slips and missteps more likely. The 13th sign is mild skin changes on the toes. Thinning, dryness, a shiny appearance, or subtle color changes. It may look like the skin is more fragile, more polished, or slightly discolored. This can happen when the small autonomic nerves that control moisture, sweat, and tiny blood vessels start to fail. Less sweat and oil production means drier, crack-prone skin. Reduced blood flow means slower healing. If you've noticed your toe skin looking unusually smooth, shiny, or fragile, that's more than just cosmetic. The 14th sign is reduced sweating in the feet. You might think, great, no more sweaty socks. But when feet that used to sweat in warm weather or during activity suddenly stay bone dry, it can be a sign of autonomic nerve involvement. Those nerves control the sweat glands. When they're damaged, you lose an important part of your skin's cooling and protective system. Dry, non-sweating feet are more prone to cracks and infections, especially dangerous when sensation is also reduced. Finally, the 15th sign is subtle changes in warmth and color, what we might call subclinical autonomic signs. Your toes may often feel unusually cold compared to the rest of your body, or they may look paler or slightly bluish. When you press on a toenail, the pink color may take longer to return. That tells us the tiny nerves that regulate blood flow are not doing their job consistently. Poor microcirculation plus reduced sensation is a risky combination for ulcers and slow-healing wounds. Taken alone, each of these signs might seem minor. Together, they tell a powerful story about the health of your peripheral nerves. Here's the key message I want you to hear. These signs are not here to scare you. They're here to give you time. Time to improve blood sugar control if you're diabetic. Time to walk more, sit less, and improve circulation. Time to choose footwear that protects rather than harms. Time to ask your doctor for proper evaluation, blood tests, nerve checks, maybe a referral to a neurologist or podiatrist. Starting today, you can check your feet every day, look at the skin, feel for changes, move your feet, ankle circles, toe curls, gentle stretches. Walk regularly, even in short bouts, to keep blood moving. Keep blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol in target ranges if you have those conditions. Moisturize your feet, but not between the toes, to prevent cracking, and never use very hot water or heating pads on areas you can't feel well. Most importantly, don't ignore early subtle changes. Those little whispers, the tingling, the cotton feeling, the strange burning at night, are your body asking for attention, not yelling at you that it's too late. Many older adults, when neuropathy is caught early and the underlying causes are addressed, are able to slow progression, sometimes reduce symptoms, and protect their ability to walk confidently and live independently. If this helped you understand what your toes might be telling you, save this video so you can come back to the 15 signs anytime. Share it with a friend, partner, or parent who keeps saying, "My feet feel a little funny, but it's probably nothing." And if you'd like more calm, science-based guidance on protecting your nerves, heart, brain, and joints as you age, make sure you're subscribed to Senior Health Secret and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. I'm Dr. David Kaplowitz. Take care of your feet today, because they carry you into your future.